So once again, welcome back. Now we'll be discussing about the powers of the president. Powers of the president. First one is executive power, second one is legislative power, financial power, judicial power, discretionary power and the emergency power. So we'll be discussing one by one all the powers in detail. Now, the executive powers of the president of our country. The first one, executive powers. Now, all the executive orders are issued in the name of the president. All the executive orders are issued in the name of the president. Now, the second important point in the executive power is that president forms the council of ministers. How it is done? Prime Minister is appointed by the president, and the other ministers are also appointed by the president on the advice of the prime minister. First of all, the head of the majority party will be appointed by the president, and the other ministers who are chosen by the prime minister will also be appointed by the president. So altogether, prime minister forms the council of ministers. President forms the council of ministers. Now next one we have is the president has the power to appoint and remove the high dignitaries of the state. Like judges of Supreme Court are appointed by the president. Judges of High Court also are appointed by president. The next one we have is chairman of UPSC, Union Public Service Commission chairman are also appointed and can be removed by the president. Then we have is the chairman of a planning commission. Then again economic commission. Then the chief election commissioner of our country is also appointed by the president. Then we have comptroller and auditor general. Then we have attorney general of India. So these people are the high dignitaries of our country. They are appointed as well as can be removed by the president, which comes under the executive powers of the president of our country. President looks after the administration of union territory. This also comes under the executive power of the president. President of powers are given to the president regarding the legislative power. The first one we have is summon. The president has the power to summon, prorogue and dissolve the Lok Sabha. Summon means S-U-M-M-O-N. S-U-M-M-O-N-S. Summons. Summons means to call. Summons means to call. When there is a deadlock, whenever there is a deadlock in passing of bills in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha passed, Rajya Sabha stopped it, there is a dispute regarding the passing of bill. In that case, we call it whenever there is a deadlock in the passing of a bill, at that time joint session is summoned by the president. And in that joint session, Speaker of Lok Sabha will preside over the joint session and decision will be taken. Next word we have is next one is prorogue. P-R-O-R-O-G-U-E-S. Prorogues. So what is the meaning of prorogues? P-R-O-R-O-G-U-E-S. Prorogues. What is the meaning of this? So simple. Here president can stop the activities of the house for a temporary period. It is not the full dissolution. For temporarily, the activities of the parliament can be stopped by the president. That power also is there in his hand. And the third one is dissolve. Dissolve. That means president can dissolve the house. Under what circumstances the president can dissolve? If the government is not functioning according to the constitution, that time the president has a full right to dissolve the house. Full right to dissolve the house. If the president is not at all, if the prime minister and the council of ministers or the entire government is not in a majority, that time also president can dissolve the house. So this is all about legislative power of the president. President has the power to summon, prorogue and dissolves the house. The next one we have is the same, nominates. President nominates, as I taught you in the previous class, President nominates 2 members in the Lok Sabha. LS means Lok Sabha. 2 members are nominated in Lok Sabha by the President from the Anglo-Indian community, and 12 members are nominated to the Rajya Sabha from the people those who are excelled in the field of art, science, literature and social service. So altogether, President nominates 14 members in the parliament. 14 members are nominated in the parliament. So 2 to the Lok Sabha and 12 to the Rajya Sabha. So what is mean a president address? So after the general election, president addresses both the houses of the parliament, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. After the general election, when the new house is constituted, firstly he addresses the parliament. That means, what is the meaning of presidential address? It is the programs and policies of the government which is put forward in the house, and debate and discussion takes place on the basis of the presidential address. So, first one, soon after the general election, first time after the general election, and second one, every year, that is before the budget session, before the session starts, because every year the sessions are to be continued. So there are 3 sessions. Budget session is there, then we have monsoon session, then we have his winter session. So beginning of each session every year are also addressed by the president of our country. The next one, the last one of the legislative power we have is assent. Assent. What is the meaning of assent? Signature, permission. Assent to legislation. Assent to legislation. Now what is this? Lok Sabha passes a bill, sends to Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha also makes it okay. Then after the bills being passed in both the houses, it is sent to the president for its assent. So president, if he thinks the bill is okay, then he will sign it. That means no bill can become an act until being signed by the president. So it needs to be, every bill needs to be authenticated by the president of our country. So these are the legislative powers of the president. President can summon, prorogue and dissolve the house. President nominates 2 members to Lok Sabha, 12 members to Rajya Sabha. Then president addresses every year before the session starts, and every bill becomes an act when signed by the president. So without the signature of the president, the bill cannot become act. So in the beginning of the chapter, I told you the 3 constituents of the parliament: Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and the president. So all these 3 together are very, very important for any legislation to be done in our country. Financial powers of the president of our country. So one by one, I just simply wrote money bill, budget, controls over the contingency fund. So now listen to me. Look at the code properly. I'll make you understand. Money bill. Money bill is a bill which involves money matter. Money bill cannot be introduced in Rajya Sabha, that we discussed in the previous class. Money bill can only be introduced in Lok Sabha. That much we know. That much we understood also. Now, money bill cannot be introduced in the Lok Sabha without the prior consent of the President. That means President's consent is required to introduce money bill in the Lok Sabha. That means before introducing the money bill in the Lok Sabha, you need the permission of the President. You need the permission of the President. Next one we have is budget. What is mean by budget? What is mean by budget? Budget is the estimate of income and expenditure. How much income and what is the expenditure. So this is known as budget. So every financial year starts with the budget session, and the finance minister lays down the budget in the parliament. Lays down the budget in the parliament. So annual budget is laid down in front of the parliament by the finance minister on behalf of the President. So finance minister lays down the budget in front of the parliament on behalf of the President of our country. The next one we have is controls. President controls the contingency fund. What is the meaning of contingency fund? Contingency fund means fund for emergencies. Fund kept for emergencies. Emergencies or mainly economic. Whenever there is an economic crisis in the country, this fund which is in the hands of the President, he can allow. Judicial powers. President also has some judicial powers. Number one, President can grant pardon. What does it mean, pardon? Lower court has punished, and this way through appeals, the case has reached to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court has given the death sentence or the lifetime imprisonment. In such situation, the last option left for that convict is to write an application or apply to the President for mercy petition. Mercy petition. So President will go through the mercy petition. If the person is convicted for breaking the union laws, then definitely government President will not show mercy. But sometimes in certain cases, President shows mercy by changing the death sentence into a lifetime imprisonment, and sometimes reducing the lifetime imprisonment to certain time. Suppose lifetime imprisonment, so he may reduce it 2-3 years from that. So that much can be done. The President has the power or right to grant pardon. The next one we have is sometime he can cancel also. Sometime he can. The next word is pardon, reprieve. What is the meaning of reprieve? First one is grant pardon. Second one is reprieve. What is the meaning of reprieve? Very simple. Cancel or postpone. Reprieve means certain punishment is given, or it can be cancelled or postponed. The punishment can be postponed. Suppose after 5 days you are to be hanged, then that can be reprieved by the President. It can be postponed. The same thing happened in the Nirbhaya case also. We saw the verdict being taking a long time, decisions given, but it took time for the actual judgment. The next one we have is respite. These are the terms normally used: grant pardon, reprieve, and the next one is respite. Now, simply a literary meaning of respite is short period of relief. Punishment cannot be withdrawn, but for a short period you can be given a relief. Short period of relief can be given by the President. So this is all about the judicial powers of the President. President can grant pardon, then President can reprieve, he can postpone the punishment, and respite. He can also temporarily give relief to the culprit. Discretionary powers. What are the discretionary means the power of his own. As you all know that whatever powers we discuss right now actually belongs to the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. As you know that Prime Minister is the real head, so real power belongs to the Prime Minister. So whatever right now we saw, all these powers are in the hands of the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. So discretionary power. What is mean by discretionary power? Power of his own. Can he do anything of his own? Yes, of course. So whenever the government does not function according to the constitution, then President, without asking anyone, he will dissolve the Lok Sabha. He will dissolve the Lok Sabha. Next one is whenever there is no party, like after the general election, a party which comes in majority will form the government. We know it. But if there is a condition where there is no party in a position to form the government, in that case what to do? No party is in a position to form the government. In that case, President will call any of the party and will give him a chance to form the government by proving the majority in the Lok Sabha. So that decision is his own. His opinion, he can think that Congress can form or BJP can form. Both are in no position. Both are not in a position to form the government. In that case, his opinion will decide what to do. So for that, he will call any of the party leader and he will ask him to form the government and to prove his majority. That is his own power to decide. Next one is his own. Discretionary once again means a power of his own. Whenever a bills being passed from both the houses reaches to the president, in that case, if he is not happy or if he is not satisfied with the bill, he can send it back to the house for reconsideration. He can send it back. It doesn't mean that in the first instance only the bill has been sent to the president. President has to sign it. It's not like that. It's not compulsory. So he can return the bill back to the house. And second time, if the bills are being passed from both the houses again, then President definitely has to put his signature. He has to sign it. That is very, very important. So this is the discretionary power of the President of our country.